Today is a very important day because today's topic is beyond any comparison in terms of importance. Trauma is a topic which has such a vast span going into so many areas. And trauma is something we will look at today. Let's contemplate over trauma today. Trauma, every Homo sapiens has experienced trauma. Even if they admit they haven't, they still have. Examples are so plenty. Examples are span every aspect of life. It's not just the bullying here and there. It is very subtle. Trauma can occur in a very subtle way. Trauma can occur in extremes, in war, in all the energy games that the humans play. Humans play energy games. It's not just about the physical, about the house, the mansion, the gold, the car, the helicopter, the land, the forest that belongs to someone. It goes into other areas. And trauma is not just experienced, has been experienced by everybody, but trauma is also, well, what if? I'm not claiming it is this way. This is very important. This is an introduction. I'm not claiming it's this way. In terms of quoting, it is extremely important to ask questions. What I'm doing is asking questions. Could it be that for power and domination, trauma is used as a tool? Question mark. Could it be that trauma, and you can see my tear because mankind is crying because trauma is so important. Could it be that trauma is used as a tool to gain power, to gain domination, to gain influence in these power games that humans play every day, on every scale, on the large geopolitical, in the family, on the friendship area, on the foe area, and among kids also already. Now, trauma takes energy from the traumatized. The traumatized has a lack of energy at his or her disposal after energy was taken by trauma. This is a fact. Traumatized people, they tend to act in like a record that keeps on repeating itself. A record that keeps these traits, how someone acts after traumatization, is like a record. Whenever someone's triggered, then the record goes and plays, and the same the same things are said and done in terms of action by this human who was traumatized. Now, if, again, it's a question, if a Homo sapien figured this out and realized that it is not just about traumatizing the other kid in kindergarten or in high school or at work and so forth, but if it were a strategy of someone, question mark, again, it's just a hypothesis, then domination over a whole people could happen. And this would be a non-physical as in it's not a gun, it's not a grenade, it's not a sniper shot, it's not a bomb, and all of these weapons that are out there, conventional or not conventional. It's something non-physical that holds a force field over the human who was traumatized. And if it's not just one, but if it's plenty, if it's many, that's an incredible tool, because all the jurisdictional systems, the courts of this world tend to not pursue traumatization of people in terms of being able to prosecute the implementer of trauma. The jurisdictional court systems that are out there, they tend to go for physical pain or financial gain and loss, and all these values that can be where a figure can we put to the gain or loss. But trauma goes under the radar. Trauma goes under the radar, and trauma is usually not pursued. So this is a very powerful tool, and the consequences are extremely stark in terms of pursuit of goals, in terms of taking force fields from other human beings in this game of power in the non-physical. And that's a definition now. I have been asked what concerns my other videos, what is an example of the non-physical? And the non-physical is definitely taking power and energy via trauma will be a non-physical thing. So this is just so big because this is now a paradigm shift in terms of power, in terms of going beyond the typical monetary gain, going beyond the typical gain of area and real estate and geography. But this is really another dimension. If a human being masters putting other human beings in trauma, this is just such a powerful tool, which is, as I pointed out earlier, which is generally not prosecuted in such a way as the physical loss would be prosecuted. So it basically, it is, trauma is front and center. It is front and center. It is everywhere. Tell me a human being who's not traumatized. An example would be Hitler was supposedly traumatized by his father. The big Kublai Khan who was the ruler over most of Asia, most of northern Asia, and who went all the way from what is today Mongolia and also areas in China, all the way through the Stan countries, all the way to the European Union, to Hungary. This is such a big area of land. And why was Kublai Khan? I was at a Chinese dinner, and they referred to Kublai Khan, 中国人是说忽必烈. This was Chinese, and the Chinese they call Kublai Khan 忽必烈, 就是忽必烈. So anyways, this guy was extremely traumatized by the death of his father at the age of 10. Well, there are different Kublai. There's Kublai Khan has a grandfather and a father and so forth, and they have different names. But anyways, to be very clear, one of them was traumatized at the age of roughly, maybe different on Wikipedia, but do they know everything? At around the age of 10. And this made Kublai Khan, he was traumatized because his father was viciously killed by another tribe, and he apparently he saw it, and that traumatized himself, and that gave him this huge drive to conquer Eurasia. You know, he could have just stayed in the forest and meditated, but no, he had this drive of fighting. So this trauma gave him an extreme drive, and this is again the record that I'm talking about. He saw this vicious death of his father, and he himself became a vicious fighter. So this is the record that I talked about earlier. And this brings us to another aspect of trauma, and again, this is a question. This is not a claim, it's a question. Could it be that trauma goes through generations? Now, if something happened to your great-grandfather, great-grandmother, could it be that you feel some of this trauma, and some of your actions and some of your drive and some of the pursuits that you have in life come from this trauma that occurred in an earlier generation of your family? Could it be? Question mark. Because many actions that humans go through and the way people pursue their lives and act, it often brings me to the question if this could be connected to our ancestors. And apparently all of the ancients, they looked at the ancestors, and the ancestors, they have an effect on us, don't they? Question mark again. So this topic, trauma, is just so huge because whole people are being controlled by means of trauma, by means of controlling their ancestral pursuits, which comes down to their own pursuits and their own records where they're stuck. If you traumatize people, they are stuck. Now this brings us to a further issue. If you are capable, if any human being is capable of transforming trauma, not only from your own story of the so many decades or years that you lived in this very incarnation, but if you can go beyond the ancestral lineage that you have, and you transform old records that keep popping into the same spot, the needle goes there again and again. If you're able to transform this and get new energy and a benefit, and you turn this energy to your to your benefit, to your gain, if you're capable of doing this, then you got rid of those records, then you got rid of domination of force fields, of others, of individuals that have an effect on your life, and also of larger structural domination that may play a factor in your life. So trauma is so crucial in life. It is super important. And here we have nature, and that's where I really, here you see this beautiful lake in the Austrian Alps, nice forest. It's raining right now. I'm probably gonna hop into the water after this video. So anyways, trauma is such an important issue. If you can transform it, if you can heal it to any extent, or even just the fact of being aware of the role that trauma plays, not just for your life, but for your whole family and the whole human ecosystem that you live in. If you contemplate over this is just so huge. So I'm quite interested in comments, because at the end of the day, what I'm doing here is I'm contemplating, I'm brainstorming, I'm going into this matter in a deep way, and obviously I don't have all the answers. So I'm quite interested in your comments about trauma and healing, and looking at this as an important mosaic piece of the whole puzzle. All the best. Best wishes from the heart.